What's up, everybody? Welcome to another Manon's Minute. And today we're going to talk about a question I've been asked recently about, is ritual considered magic? Well, yes, sometimes, but not always. I know that probably sounds like I'm trying to dodge the question, but I'm really not. The problem is that people often use the words ritual and magic as though they mean exactly the same thing, and they don't. In many witchcraft traditions, it can be difficult to separate one from the other. Still, performing a ritual does not automatically mean that you're doing magic. Let me explain. A ritual is basically a collection of actions, words, symbols, gestures, or behaviors performed in a particular way. Usually those actions follow some kind of established order. You begin here, you do this next, you say these words, you finish with that action, and the whole thing may be repeated at another time. That repetition is important because it gives the ritual its structure. When people perform the same ceremony every full moon, celebrate a Sabbath in a familiar way each year, or open and close their sacred space using an established pattern, they're taking part in ritual. However, rituals are not limited to witchcraft, paganism, or occult practices. Christianity has rituals. Judaism has rituals. Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and nearly every other religious system on the planet contains some form of ritual. Governments use them, schools have them, families create their own little rituals without even realizing it. A wedding is a ritual. A graduation ceremony is a ritual. Singing happy birthday and blowing out candles and cutting the cake is ritual. Even a funeral follows an expected sequence of actions meant to acknowledge death, honor the person who passed, and help the living process what happened. None of those things are automatically magic. Now, somebody may point at the birthday cake and say, wait a minute, you make a wish and blow out candles. That sounds pretty magical to me. Fair enough. It certainly has magical elements buried inside it. You focus on a desire, use flame as a symbol, extinguish the candle with your breath, and keep the wish secret so it supposedly comes true. That is basically a tiny spell hiding underneath the frosting and sprinkles. Still, most people at a birthday party are not consciously attempting to direct occult force. They're following a familiar social custom because that is what people do at birthdays. The action may have developed from older beliefs, but the person performing it is not necessarily practicing magic. That brings us to the other half of the question. What exactly makes something magic? Magic involves the deliberate attempt to create change through the direction of will, intention, energy, spiritual forces, symbolic action, or some combination of all of these things. The precise definition changes depending on the tradition, but conscious purpose is usually somewhere near the center of it. A witch might perform magic to bring protection, improve a situation, remove an obstacle, heal an emotional wound, attract an opportunity, bless a home, communicate with a spirit, or defend against somebody causing harm. The practitioner is not simply honoring an occasion. Something is being directed toward a particular result. This means ritual becomes magical when the ritual is being used as the vehicle through which that change is intended to happen. For example, casting a circle can be ritual. A person may perform the same gestures, use the same tools, speak familiar words, and move through a ceremony that has been practiced many times before. If the purpose is only to establish a sacred space for worship and meditation or celebration or communion with the gods, then the act is religious ritual. It may feel powerful, spiritual, and deeply meaningful, but that does not necessarily make it magic. On the other hand, suppose that circle is being created to contain and direct energy toward a healing spell. The practitioner raises power, focuses it upon a specific goal, and releases it with the intention of bringing about change. Now the ritual includes magic. Same circle, same tools, possibly even the same opening words. The difference is found in what the practitioner is trying to accomplish. Think of ritual as a container. Magic is one of the things that can be placed inside it. You can pour worship into that container. Celebration may fill it instead. Meditation, remembrance, initiation, grief, gratitude, or spiritual communion can all exist within ritual. Magic is another possibility, but is not the only one. That is where people sometimes get confused. They see robes, candles, incense, a chalice, strange words, and somebody waving a sword around the room, so naturally they assume a spell must be happening. From the outside, religious ritual and magical ritual can look nearly identical. The tools do not tell you everything, neither do the dramatic gestures. Honestly, if swinging a sword and lighting incense automatically created magic, every fantasy convention would accidentally open a portal. The purpose behind the action matters. Now, does that mean intention is the only ingredient necessary? Not exactly. Intention is important, but magic is more than wanting something really badly while standing near a candle. Ritual gives intention form. It helps organize the mind, the emotions, the body, the symbols, and the surrounding environment so they all point in the same direction. Human beings are easily distracted creatures. We can barely walk into a room without forgetting why we went in there. Ritual creates a pathway that helps bring our attention back to what we're doing. When you light a particular candle, your mind recognizes that the working has begun. Incense changes the atmosphere and can signal that you are entering a sacred time. Repeated words carry meaning because you have connected them with a particular purpose. Movement around the circle can gradually shift your awareness away from ordinary daily concerns. All these pieces work together. They bring the practitioner into the proper state of mind for the work being performed. This is one reason ritual can make magic more effective. Structure prevents the working from becoming a pile of random actions thrown together because they looked witchy on the internet. Every piece should have a purpose. The color of the candle, the direction you face, the symbol you draw, the words you speak, and the moment you release the energy should support the central goal. Otherwise, you're not building a magical working, you're decorating. There's nothing wrong with beautiful ritual, by the way. Candles and robes and music and incense and elaborate altars can help create an atmosphere that pulls you deeper into the experience. The trouble begins when appearance replaces function. Something can look incredibly mystical while accomplishing absolutely nothing beyond making a nice picture for social media. Magic does not need to resemble a movie scene to be real or meaningful. In fact, not all magic uses ritual at all. A practitioner may direct energy through a quick gesture, charge an object by holding it, whisper a charm, create a sigil, speak a blessing, or respond instinctively to a situation. Some forms of magic are spontaneous and take only a few seconds. There may be no formal opening, no ceremonial sequence, and no carefully prepared altar. This is still magic if the person is consciously directing the working toward change. So a ritual can contain magic. Magic does not always require a full ritual. The two ideas are connected, but neither one completely depends upon the other. It may help to compare ritual to cooking. A recipe gives you an established order. First you prepare the ingredients, then combine them, apply heat, and finish the dish. Following that structure increases the chance that you'll get the result you intended. Magical ritual operates in a similar way. The order of actions helps guide the practitioner through the working from beginning to end. You prepare yourself, establish the space, state the purpose, direct the force, and bring everything to a proper conclusion. However, following a recipe does not mean that every ingredient is food. You could use the same kitchen to make soap, mix paint, or conduct some questionable science experiment you found online at 2 in the morning. The structure alone does not define the result. What you put into it and what you're trying to produce make the difference. Religious ritual also serves purposes that magic does not always address. It can connect a community through shared tradition. When the same ceremony is passed from teacher to student, generation to generation, it becomes a living thread joining people across time. The words may have been spoken by those who came before you. The movements carry memories. Familiar symbols create a sense of belonging that does not depend on getting a measurable result afterward. That type of ritual is not lesser because it's not spell work. Worship does not need to produce money, love, protection, or a new job opportunity in order to have value. Sometimes the purpose is simply to honor, remember, celebrate, or mourn, or stand in the presence of something considered sacred. Modern witchcraft sometimes becomes so focused on spells and results that people forget religion can exist without every action being designed to get something. Lighting a candle for a goddess is not automatically a request. Pouring an offering does not have to be a payment in exchange for a favor. Dancing around a fire at a seasonal celebration may be an expression of joy rather than an attempt to manipulate energy. Not every sacred action needs to be a transaction. At the same time, separating ritual and magic too severely can create another problem. In many traditions, the boundaries are intentionally blurry. Worship can raise power. Devotion may change the practitioner. Invoking a deity can transform the atmosphere of the entire ceremony. A seasonal celebration might also include blessings for the land, protection for the household, or prosperity for the community. Is that worship, ritual, or magic? It may honestly be all three. Human spiritual practices do not always fit into neat little boxes. We like definitions because they help us understand what we're talking about, but actual experience tends to spill over the edges. A ritual can begin as celebration, move into communion, contain a magical working, and end with an offering of gratitude. Trying to label every minute of it may be more trouble than it's worth. The important question is not whether ritual is always magic. It clearly is not. a better question would be, what is this particular ritual designed to do? Does it honor a deity, mark a life transition, unite a community, celebrate a season, prepare the mind for spiritual work, direct force toward a desired outcome? Perhaps it accomplishes several of those things all at once. Once you understand the purpose, the difference becomes much easier to see. Ritual is the organized pattern. Magic is the deliberate working for the change. They can stand apart, but when brought together with skill and understanding and purpose, they strengthen one another. Ritual gives magic a road to travel. It keeps the practitioner focused, supports the intention with meaningful symbols, and carries the working through a beginning, middle, and end. Magic gives ritual a directed force when change is the goal. So, is ritual considered magic? Sometimes it absolutely is. Sometimes it is worship, ceremony, tradition, celebration, or remembrance. Occasionally, it's several of those things mixed together in one beautiful, complicated experience. The candles do not decide. The robes do not decide. The tools, words, gestures, and incense cannot answer the question by themselves. Purpose is what tells you what kind of work is actually being done. And once you understand that, the whole subject becomes much less mysterious. Ritual and magic are not identical twins. They're close relatives who spend a great deal of time together. One provides the structure while the other directs change. When they meet with clear intention and genuine understanding, that is where ritual can become something far more than a repeated collection of actions. That is when the ritual becomes magic.